All right, we're going to begin the meeting like we do every month by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
and the
to the republic
for
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and
liberty,
justice
justice
for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To welcome all of our attendees to this very unique Board of Education meeting. It's our March meeting. Just wanted to send our best wishes to everybody in our community, our parent community, our student community, our community as a whole, the entire Jericho School District wishes everybody the best of health in these difficult times, and hopes that everybody is doing their best to stay as healthy as possible, to stay safe as possible. We want to just thank everybody for everything that you've done to really cooperate with the district, and Hank will speak shortly in the superintendent's report about remote learning. But as a community, really everybody has embraced everything that we've asked them to do, and everybody seems to be, for the most part, heeding the advice and the warnings of the governor and the authorities. And we're not seeing a lot of traffic, a lot of groups congregating in our community, and I think that's keeping our kids safe, which is first and foremost our main concern. And this is a situation nobody's ever dealt with before, and so again, we just wish everybody, and our prayers are with everybody in our community. Everybody seems to know somebody now who's tested positive, and we send our prayers and our best wishes to everybody in the community and all your loved ones. You remain healthy, and if you did test positive, that you have a speedy recovery. With that, I'd like to thank Hank and Ben and Barbara and Victor and the entire administration, staff, teachers, everybody affiliated with the Jericho School District who has dealt with this, unforeseen situation in a tremendous, tremendous way. Folks at home don't realize, even when you're home, you're working around the clock to do the best possible things we can do for our community and our kids. We were, I believe, as early as anybody, prepared for remote learning, and Hank will describe it's a work in progress. And every day our administration and our faculty and our teachers are working together, our building principals, our curriculum associates, to make it better, to create a learning experience that is somewhat normal for our kids. And that's what we want to do, is try to, in these unusual situations, try to keep everything as normal as possible. But Hank, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to you, and again, Ben, Barbara, Victor, everybody in the school district, for everything that you've done. You've really led the way, and these decisions are not easy. There's no precedent for this. There's no book, there's no law, as Chris would say, to tell you exactly how to handle this situation. And as a district, I'm incredibly proud of the job that all of you have done, and thank you. And I know that there's a lot of hard work ahead, so I really do appreciate that.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
I think the best thing to do right now, if it makes sense to everybody, would be to go right to you, Hank, in the superintendent's report.
Sure. My pleasure. Again, I want to start off echoing Bill. The Jericho staff has been absolutely beyond belief. They really have stepped up. I think the analogy we've been using is we're building a plane while we're at 20,000 feet. Again, every day we're doing the online learning a little better and a little better, but our staff is online and trying new technologies and trying to interact with kids. Our priority is to ensure that we maintain connection with our kids, whether we're talking about 5-year-old kids or our seniors. We are endeavoring to have as much contact with our kids as possible, and having all of our staff members working directly with our kids. So again, kudos to an incredible staff, incredible support staff. I want to take this opportunity to thank our community. Our community has been patient as we've gone through the the original diagnosis of the coronavirus, and as we went through the stages, the early stages and the decisions that we made early on, I thank the community, our parents, for their patience. And again, I also want to take this opportunity to thank the board. The board has been readily available to us, providing us with support and advice, and appreciate, Bill, your leadership and the board's leadership in helping us try to navigate through the crazy times where, again, things are shifting on a day-to-day basis. Information is changing on a day-to-day basis, and we really appreciate the board's support and assistance. Let me start off with probably the most significant issue out there, and that's on the issue of pass-fail. Early on, we received a lot of feedback about the stress that our middle school and high school kids were under, feeling academic stress, academic pressures, and we made a quick decision that one of the ways we could reduce the pressures of our students would be to go to a pass-fail system. We did that with an understanding that if we are closed for an extended period of time, which we expect we will be, if we're closed till hypothetically, let's say June, our teachers are still going to mark our kids for the full year with a single grade. So the notion that the kids are going to miss 7 weeks of grading or 6.5 weeks of grading really would be blended into a teacher's final grade. And our kids would be taken care of in that final grade in June. And our teachers basically operate under a do not harm policy. So when we made that decision, we made that decision with reducing pressure on kids and kids still being taken care of when final grades are distributed in June. Obviously, there has been a large reaction from our high school kids, especially from our juniors. And I want to take this opportunity to say that we're going to walk back that decision effective immediately. We will leave in place the decision that we're going to work on a pass-fail in our middle school, but we will continue to reevaluate how we're going to grade our kids in grades 9 through 12. We'll continue to look at how many days we're closed. We'll continue to look at what are the options that we have. We are in contact and have been in contact with colleges and universities, and they are well aware, and their expectation is that that grading for this current junior class nationally is going to be greatly impacted by the coronavirus. So they're already evaluating how that's going to impact admissions next fall. But again, I think what's important for right now, there is so much stress and anxiety going on around us in our homes, around our homes and in school, that I think it's in the best interest to recommend that we walk back the decision of pass-fail, and we reevaluate that over the next several weeks while we wait for the governor to make a decision on how much longer schools will be closed. Again, please understand that that decision was made hoping to make that decision for the best interest of our kids and the stress level that we feel our kids are under. We will continue to evaluate the situation. We are eager to hear from our governor. We were actually told that the governor was going to make an announcement today during his briefing at 11:30 about school closure. He did not. So what's on the books right now officially is we're scheduled to return to school on April the 1st. Our board has decided to alert our community and our staff that we definitely will not return on April 1st. But at this point in time, we'll target April 20th as a potential return date. That is the date that the governor has talked about, and that is the date that New York City has set for a return date. So that gives us three and a half weeks to wait for a decision from the governor to see whether he's going to do April 20th or is he going to push it later in the year. We're trying to stay in touch with Albany as much as we can, literally almost on a daily basis, and trying to hear what their thinking is. We're hearing one segment saying that they want to go incrementally month to month. And we hear from another segment that they are contemplating a closing through June 30th. As soon as we hear anything, obviously we will put that out to our school community.
Hank, if I could just interrupt for one quick second, just because I know there's people listening and everything spirals really quickly with social media and people not being together. We're not suggesting we're not telling our community in any way that it's our intention to come back to school April 23rd. What we're saying is, regardless of what the governor does or the state does at this time, we will not be opening our schools anytime before that.
Thank you for the clarification, Bill. I think that's helpful. And again, I think in our heart of hearts, I will be very surprised if we return to school on April the 20th. Just, based upon the reports that we're all seeing on television, the medical reports, clearly the coronavirus is still on an upswing. So we will, whatever we hear from the governor's office or from the commissioner of education, you're aware that obviously the grade 3 through 8 testing has been canceled. We are told that very shortly we'll hear from the commissioner the status of Regents exams. Again, our expectation is that Regents exams also will be canceled. But again, as soon as we receive that notification, we will share that with our community. Let me share some additional information with you on our enrollment report. For whatever that's worth, our enrollment today was 0. Our enrollment on March the 20th, we had 3,226 kids. That's approximately 100 kids more than we had at the same point last year. I also wanted to share with you that there's been a lot of discussion out there in terms of part-time employees, substitutes, permanent substitutes. And again, I want to take this opportunity to thank our Board of Education for authorizing us to continue on payroll all of our hourly part-time employees and permanent subs. We are really pleased that the board was quick and proactive in ensuring that that cash flow continued for those valued employees of ours. We are continuing to provide food service. And again, anyone who currently is not receiving food service, who's on free lunch, who would like to receive free lunch, please contact Victor Manuel at Victor's email address, and he will coordinate that with Tracy Gillette. We will be sending out an email probably tomorrow talking about childcare availability. That childcare is specifically geared to first responders and people in the medical and health fields. If there is a need for childcare in that part of our community, childcare will be provided and is currently being provided in the Syosset School District and in the Hicksville School District. I just want to reinforce that at this point, our 3 elementary school buildings are closed, and no staff member or student or parent will have access to any of our elementary schools on a go-forward basis. If there is an emergency where you need something from an elementary school, please contact your elementary principal. The middle school and high school complex will be open tomorrow from 8 to 1, but that'll be the last day that it is open for staff, parent, and kid ability to retrieve instructional materials, instruments, etc. From that point on, we are planning on locking that building. And if there, again, is an emergency or a need, contact Don, Joan, David to get access to the building. Denise has set up a website, a link on our website, which we continue to populate with information on COVID-19, both our internal information, county and state information on that website. And please, I direct you to look at that website. I think that is my list, Bill. Is there anything else?
I think that covered a couple quick questions, though. I just thought of when you were talking about the buildings being closed. I did, when driving through East Birchwood, I noticed that the whole property is closed.
Correct. Basically, all of
All the
our
schools?
tennis courts, track, playgrounds are all
I
closed.
think that's great, and I appreciate that. I hadn't really thought about that, and when I saw it, I was really pleased to see that, because again, it limits contact and, you know, people being out there too many in, you know, one place. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Hank with respect to what he just talked about? Okay, Denise, can you tell us, is the chat open currently?
It's not.
It's not, okay. So when we get to the public opportunity to be heard, we'll talk about that. Obviously, this is the first time we've done a meeting of this sort. I don't know, if, Chris, if any other districts have even had their public Board of Ed meetings yet. But, you know, this is a work in progress, and we're trying to make it as transparent as possible and giving people an opportunity to listen.
Yeah, Bill, this is the first week where we're getting waves of these sort of meetings. So it's kind of like a maiden voyage for everyone at this point.
Bill, I just I remembered also we did want a meeting is on April the 23rd. We will put that in. Obviously, we'll put that in our minutes, and Denise will do that in our notices. But just to publicly announce that our plan is to have our next meeting on April the 23rd at 7:15 p.m. At this point, our plan is to continue with a Zoom meeting format.
That makes sense. Denise, maybe when we do the public opportunity to be heard, we can open the chat and see if anybody has anything specific that they'd like to ask. Does that work for everybody? So let's go to recommended actions. Approval of minutes. Be resolved, the Board of Education make any necessary corrections. Move the approval of minutes of the regular meetings dated February 6th and March 5th, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Raise, Barbara, do I have a second?
Second.
Just kind of raise your hand. Barbara was a motion. Somebody raised their hand for the second. Somebody raised their hand. There you go, Pam. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, we'll do the public opportunity to be heard afterwards. So let's just move along here. New business. First reading of Board Policy 8281, Parent and Family Engagement. First reading, recommend motion be resolved, the Board of Education accept the first reading of the following policy, 8281. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Perfect. Okay.
I think, Bill, that I believe that's the policy that that Kim actually needed us to do a first and second reading.
So is the second reading the resolution that Chris sent me, or not? That's not related.
No, I think we have to waive the second reading if we want to approve it now.
Yeah.
Sure. So we had to do two things. The first thing is we'd had to take a vote right now as to whether or not the board is prepared to basically merge the two readings, first and second. So that's the first vote, Mr. Farrow, you have to take. And if you have the acquiescence of the board to merge the two readings, you can then take a separate freestanding vote on this being now policy.
Okay, so we need to do two votes. So the first motion would be to merge the first reading and second reading of 8281.
Correct.
So that would be an amended motion. Do I have a motion to do that? Barbara, do I have a second?
Second.
Jill, any discussion? Hank, do you want to just explain why we need this?
I believe that part of Kim's filings for our title funding, she needed to include the updated policy with the updated language that we've received, I think, both from Chris and from Erie One BOCES.
Great. Any other discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I guess we could all just raise our hands so we'll all know that we were all ayes, right? Otherwise, I have to say it opposed. Okay, so the second motion now then is to pass the motion, right? Be resolved, Board of Education accept the following policy.
Correct. Policy
Is that correct, Chris?
8281.
Adopt the policy.
8281. Adopt, correct. We have a motion.
So moved.
Thanks. Second, Pam. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
First reading, Board Policy 1280. We don't need to merge these, do we?
No, I don't
No.
think you do.
No.
Thank you. All right, first reading, Board Policy 1280, student voter registration and pre-registration. Be resolved, the Board of Education accept the first reading of that policy. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
moved,
Pam, do I have a second? Deb, any
Second.
discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. I'm wondering, can we add some language, Chris, that ensures that the pre-registration or registration done in school will be done in such a way that it doesn't out non-citizens?
Sure. What we can do, Barbara, is we can have that as an implementing regulation that you can do. When you start to get into the logistics of it, so what you can do is for now, just accept this as a first reading. And then between now and when you actually vote on it the second time in a month or so, we can have some implementing regulations that would address that issue.
Excellent, thank you.
No problem.
Can I make a suggestion for going forward? Although I didn't know this one was going to have a comment. If there are policies that are, obviously okay and not controversial, can we like generally skip the second reading and do them at once? Like put that on the agenda that way?
It's really, you know what, the regulations for school boards are kind of set up the way they are in order to allow public input. And I think that we can't always know what's controversial. That's what I've learned in my 21 years, is sometimes we think something's so straightforward and you put up a policy, you do the first reading, and somewhere in that month in between the first and second reading, the public has a chance to react to it. So I'd rather not make that an automatic kind of thing.
Well, I didn't mean for every policy, but for ones that are clearly, obviously acceptable and need to be approved quickly.
The way your present policy reads in terms of adopting policies, it's like a two-stage process in order that you have that contemplative ability to take a look at it. If you have some questions, then come back to it. What we did tonight with 8281 was very much out of the ordinary. So your policy as it's presently written in terms of actually coming up with policies, you want to have the ability to take a look at it, have some thoughts, come back to it a second time. You certainly had the ability to move things along as you did tonight if there's a true emergency. So if you're going to do that, Jill, you'd have to change your implementing policy.
Okay, so let's discuss that at another time if we should.
Sure, no problem.
Put that in the pink book.
Implementing policy. What?
Pink book.
I'll put, it's my orange book. I have it in my,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
All right, SEPTA presentation of grant. Recommend a motion be resolved that the Board of Education accept on behalf of the district a donation of $2,000 from SEPTA, who respectfully requests said funds be used as indicated on the attached. Have a motion?
so moved,
Pam, do I have a second? Barbara,
Sure.
any discussion?
Thank you.
thank
very-
you,
Thank you.
Yep.
thank you,
Thank you, SEPTA. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4, authorization to execute agreement with Scope for the 2021 school year. Recommend a motion be resolved, the Board of Education authorize the board president to execute the license agreement for the 2021 school year by and between the Jericho Union Free School District and Scope as shown on the attachment.
Does it make any sense to, Chris, to tack on to this one, the agreement that we need to execute for our childcare?
Sure. So I actually sent over to you, Mr. Farrow, a suggested board action for Syosset as well. This would probably be the appropriate time to do that as well.
So move it as add it as a new item and then move them together.
You can move them separately. So first we have Scope, second we have Syosset. So this is the right time to do it. You're right, Hank.
Do you want me
Okay,
to?
so, but we should,
Put in a separate motion.
I
Correct.
have it, I'm fine, but should we then vote on number 4 and then make Syosset number 5?
Yes, exactly.
So do I have a motion on number 4, the Scope?
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right,
second,
second, there you go.
Second.
What's your name, Pam? Yeah, everybody looks
Yeah.
so different on the screen. All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
All right, so we're gonna add a new item here, and I'll read the resolution. Be resolved, the Board of Education hereby authorizes the Jericho School District to participate in the provision of childcare services during the COVID-19. Oh, look at that.
See, I'm ready.
To the Syosset School District and directs appropriate action to be taken to effectuate participation in the Syosset Child Care Program. You just wanted to take me off the screen?
You're back. Was there a
that was
possibility
cool.
of it being Syosset and Hicksville?
I think Mr. Grish made reference to Syosset had a lot of openings, but we can expand it to Hicksville as well if you want to.
With the understanding that is represented by a different law firm.
Right. Right. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, it would probably make sense for us to add Hicksville there. They've also agreed
Okay.
to provide
Okay.
any of our
So
open
then-
slots.
Right, I think we'd just like to
Uh,
authorize it now so we don't have to have an emergency meeting to approve this and we can get it moved along as quickly as possible.
That's fine. So perhaps what we should do, Mr. Farrow, is we say, we'll now make it be resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorize the Jericho School District to participate in the provision of childcare services during the COVID-19 crisis through the Syosset Central School District and the Hicksville School District, and directs appropriate action to be taken to effectuate participation in such programs.
That makes sense. So as amended, do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Barbara, do I have a second? Pam, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to number 6, Nassau BOCES Cooperative Bid Pupil Transportation. Whereas a number of school districts in Nassau County wish to jointly solicit proposals together with Nassau Board of Cooperative Educational Services for pupil transportation services for the 2021 school year in accordance with the applicable provisions of general municipal law. Whereas the public school districts and BOCES have agreed to form a cooperative for this purpose, whereas the Jericho Union Free School District is desirous of participating in this cooperative joint solicitation for proposals as authorized by municipal law, section 119-0, in accordance with the terms and conditions of the intermunicipal cooperative transportation agreement attached hereto. Now therefore be resolved, the Board of Education authorizes the school district to participate in that cooperative, and be it further resolved, the Board of Education hereby approves the agreement attached hereto and authorizes the board president to execute the agreement on behalf of the Board of Education. It's pretty good reading, huh?
Well done.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have any other discussion?
Better than
All in
Netflix.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, Hank, I'm not gonna read this entire, the entire secret, Victor, right?
You can say,
No,
Mr.
that's
Farrow,
fine.
as written.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna-
as
I'm
written,
gonna
it's
go with
for
where-
the projects that are in next year's transfer to capital.
Sure, so what I'll say is, whereas the Board of Education, Jericho Union Free School District is considering improvements at the Jericho Union Free School District, whereas the proposal includes middle school science room reconstruction, gas service installation at high school, middle school, George Jackson Elementary School replacement of existing gymnasium floor, folding partition, asphalt pavement reconstruction, Williams Elementary School asphalt pavement, curb and sidewalk reconstruction, installation of additional stormwater damage. Recommend, therefore be resolved, the Board of Education, after review of the proposal, in the opinion of John Grillo, our architect, hereby determines the proposed projects are type 2 actions pursuant to statute of the implementing regulations of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, and will therefore, by definition, have no significant adverse impact on the environment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Barbara, first.
Second.
Dab. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
What's
Aye.
that? Aye. Acceptance of donation. 1 second, before we go to that one,
Go back to 5.
I missed number 5. Thank you, Hank. Sorry, when we added one, I just figured I got to skip one. You know, it's like a substitute. Ben, did you just refresh your cocktail on the beach?
Yeah, I did.
Let's go back to number 5. Go back. Acceptance of donation. Regular motion be it resolved, the Board of Education accept on behalf of the district a donation of $500 from the Candiac Jackson Seaman PTAs totaling $1,500. We respectfully request said funds be used for STEAM Day.
Moved.
Do I have a motion? Yes.
So moved.
Motion. There you go, Jill. Second.
Second.
Pam. Any discussion other than thank you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was our
All
STEAM
in
Day
favor?
was a very, very successful event. We thank our teachers and Brian Cummings for coordinating the event. I think we wound up with close to 200 kids in attendance.
I think that was our last event.
I think that was our last
It
event,
was.
Hopefully all healthy.
hopefully.
Okay, now I'm going down. Well, now I'm turning the page. Back to number 8, right?
Yes.
We did.
8 is correct, right?
The JEF Steam Day donate, yes.
Be resolved, Board of Education accept on behalf of district donation of $3,000 from the Jericho Educational Foundation, who respectfully request said funds be used for the March 7th STEAM Day. Have a motion.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Second.
Good. Oh, thank you. Any other discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Notice of annual meeting. Recommend a motion be resolved, the Board of Education adopt the attached notice of annual meeting and election of board members for the Jericho Union Free School District and the resolutions concerning the special district meeting for the Jericho Public Library and authorize the public notices thereof. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Barbara, do I have a second? Pam, discussion? There's some probably obvious discussion here.
How are we gonna have a board election?
Yeah, so let me give you an
All those
update on
questions,
that. We're required to
What's that,
go
Chris?
forward with, the notices. However, I think it's quite likely this vote's not going to take place in May. More likely it'll take place sometime in June, and the structure of the vote may be somewhat different than what we're accustomed to. That's one of the many decisions that State Education Department and or the governor's office has to weigh in on. But for now, it's still on, and as silly as this may seem, we have to go forward with the notice as it's written.
And, you know, if we have to do the entire thing by absentee ballot, at what point, Victor, do you need notice to start printing trillions of absentee ballots?
Obviously, the sooner the better. If the vote ends up getting delayed, that obviously helps. We've never done this process before, so we'd be looking for guidance from the state on what the specifics would be regarding that.
Okay.
The state is going to obviously have to weigh in before school districts start printing ballots and advertising vote, et cetera, et cetera. School boards has been on this.
We're good?
We're good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jericho Public Library budget. Recommend a motion be resolved, the Board of Education authorize the 2021 Jericho Public Library proposed budget in the amount of $5,565,400, the amount to be raised by taxes to be $5,429,300 as approved by the Board of Trustees on March 10, 2020, and be it further resolved, the voting machines appropriately reflect these amounts. Of a motion.
So moved.
Barbara, do I have a second? Somebody
Second.
was there. Thanks, Pam. Any discussion? I know Barbara always loves to make her standard statement here, so go for it.
My annual statement. We need to approve this by law, this resolution. We do not develop the library budget. It is provided to us. But because the library is kind of a stepchild of the school district, I don't know if there's a better way to say that, probably is. We have to approve it. It's kind of like we give them their allowance, but they have to generate their own taxes. So it comes through us, we give them the money, but they develop their own budget and you get to vote on it individually.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Victor, I'm pretty sure we can move, wait, never mind. Let's do number 12 first,
Yeah,
adoption of our budget.
Yeah, if we do 12 first, Bill, we can then move 11.
Then we can move the other ones all together,
Right, got it.
right? That's what I'm thinking.
Good.
So let's move to number 12, adoption of budget, school year 2021. Recommend a motion be resolved, the Board of Education adopt the proposed budget, $126,731,666 for the 2021 school year, and be it further resolved, the voting machines appropriately reflect that amount. Have a motion? Jill, do I have a second?
Second.
Deb, second. Any comments, questions? Victor, thank you.
Thank you, Victor.
Victor, thank you for all of your presentations. As I am every year, I'm riveted to every one of them. And no, in all seriousness, I know how much work goes into the budget, and we've had a lot of public meetings and a lot of opportunity for the public to comment on the budget. You've really done a great job of answering all those questions. And even the last one that you know, I know it was difficult, but, you know, doing it, you know, videotape and making that available to the entire community. You did a great job on that. It was really
Thank you so much. Bill.
concise and made a lot of sense. So thank you.
And again, the number of hits on our website and Victor's presentation probably took first place in our website hits.
I can't
So
believe I'm getting hazed on Zoom now.
that's not a- that was a congratulations.
Thank you.
I just, you know, again, you know, two things. You know, firstly, the work that Victor does, and again, it's far more than just year-to-year budgets. The work that he's done in developing a long-term budgeting plan so that our kids will maintain programs for the coming years is kudos to Victor and those who, you know, who work to support him, our administrative staff that work with him and support the budget development. So, you know, a thank you on this budget, and again, a thank you on keeping that 5-year budget alive and well. Just as an aside, the board may have seen some information that came out from school boards. I think it was today, but we've heard the governor talking about the impact of the coronavirus on the state budget. He basically has said that no agency, no municipality is safe harmless from any cuts that he needs to make this year or next year. So the possibility does exist that there could be some dings in terms of state aid, state reimbursements that could hit us this year or next year. Again, Victor's planning is such that if that were to happen, we will be able to survive any of those cuts that take place this year or next year.
Great, thank you.
The advantage of being
Any
a
other-
district that gets minimal aid.
Yeah, districts that are,
Good point, Barbara.
one of the districts I worked in, Barbara, was a 90% aided district. So a ding there is not something you can recoup from.
Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Let's move, please, numbers 11, 13, and 14 at the same time. These are intermunicipal agreements. Recommend a motion be it resolved, the Board of Education approve the attached intermunicipal agreement to offer maintenance and repair services in the Jericho Transportation Facility to the Herrick's Union Free School District, the Port Washington Union Free School District, and the Franklin Square Union Free School District. I have a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Deb. Second. Barbara, thank you. Any comments?
This has been a wonderful program. I mean, a way for our guys to keep busy, for us to bring in money. It's been fabulous. Thank you.
Well,
Really worked out great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Federal Single Audit Report, June 30th, 2019. Recommend a motion that the Board of Education acknowledges receipt of the Federal Single Audit Report of the School District External Auditor, Cullen and Danowski, for the year ending June 30th, 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved.
Thank you. Second, Barbara. Any other comments?
I have a question on it because it was just added. The
Sure.
the amount that it says that we're receiving for Title I grant, is it basically all of the amounts? Is this all the money we get from the federal government total?
yes,
For the-
yes.
So this is what's included in our budget, and this is the one. The
Well,
1.1 million
these-
is what we get from.
These wouldn't be part of the general fund budget. These are separate federal grants that we get above and beyond that, and that's why they have a separate audit for these.
So we get this 1.1 million plus additional funding from the federal government?
No, the additional funding from the federal government is this, what you see in the audit report.
I don't understand.
I think she's asking whether anything in our budget comes from the federal government. This is separate.
No, these are separate grants, IDEA, title. What comes through our general fund budget is state aid, not the federal grants.
So okay, so these are federal grants, and we also get money from the government, but this is all we get from the federal government.
Correct.
Okay, that was my question. Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We good? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So before we go to the public opportunity to be heard, before we go to approval of schedules, which we'll do last, Hank, I just kind of want to go back to the pass-fail for a moment. And I thought of this earlier today, and somebody just reminded me of it. Since we're walking it back a little bit, when you're doing the consideration, because I'm sure this is going to be a question that you're going to get, a number of. While we're saying that, where you stated that middle school will certainly be pass-fail, what about our kids in 8th grade that are taking advanced high school level class?
Good question, Bill. We will put,
We can consider that as well, right?
yeah, that's a high school courses, we'll put them in the category of to be reviewed.
Okay, that makes sense. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Denise, can you turn on that chat to see if there's any questions?
Sure.
We'll give it a shot. I don't know how that's going to play out, but
So the attendees will be able to
Write in a, type in a question.
question and the panelists will see it. So if
correct.
any attendee has a question, you should be able to, at this point, type it in.
So right now is the public opportunity to be heard. If anybody attending has a specific question or comment they'd like to make, we'll try our best to entertain it. Again, we've never done this before. Am I turning on the chat to see that?
So you have
There it is.
See it.
Oh,
There's
there's
one question
Sam
now.
Perlman asked, Sam Perlman asked, what will be the net impact on this year's budget from the shutdown?
That's obviously changing day by day, and the governor announced today that he will look at this quarterly throughout the rest of this year and next year. As Barbara pointed out earlier, fortunately, we are not overly reliant on state aid. It represents about 5% of our budget. So obviously that is helpful.
There's a question from Lisa. I'd ask her to maybe clarify that. Will you please repeat what you said earlier about the pass-fail policy? I don't know if you want Mr. Grishman to repeat everything he said, other than the fact that all high school classes are going to be looked at now and considered, and we're waiting for some additional guidance from the governor and the state. And to Amit Shalat, basically, again, Mr. Grishman said that we're walking the decision back. So we're looking at all possibilities with respect to grading in the high school right now. Correct, Mr. Grishman?
Correct.
I just want to clarify, Mr. Wozniak said he has a question in an email. I have this here. I'm going to forward it to the board. I don't see a specific question in it, Mr. Wozniak. It's a very lengthy email. If there's a specific question that you're interested in, if not, I'll forward the email
Yeah,
to you.
I don't think we're going to respond to an entire email at this point. If he sent an email to the board and for some reason we didn't get it, didn't respond to it, I apologize. Denise, if you can make sure the board gets that, we'll respond to any emails as we always do.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill, one of the things that I've noticed in the last week or two, and Patrick is on it, but it appears that sometimes when emails, our filtering system, I guess we've upgraded our filtering system, and especially during this time where there's far more phishing going on, we've upgraded our filters. And there have been some emails that I've not received. There have been some emails that the board has not received. And I know that Patrick is working on that. So it's possible that the email that Mr. Wozniak sent to the board may not have received. But again, Denise will, as a matter of fact, I didn't see it either. I'm copied on board emails. So we'll have Patrick continue to follow up on that.
Okay. Another question from Sam Perlman is, and I think it's a lot of people have this question, so you can answer it quickly, Hank, I think, or Barbara. When will all teachers in school be required to use Zoom or some other technology to broadcast?
Teachers are currently, will be using all three platforms to directly have contact with their kids, and that should be unfolding within the next few days.
Thank you. And what are those three platforms?
The three platforms we're using, Canvas, Google Classroom, and Zoom.
Okay, and actually, Mr. Wozniak just updated his question, and that was the same question regarding technology. So I appreciate him narrowing that down for us, and we were able to provide an answer. Eileen Gingold asks, are we going to treat our calendar vacation days as vacation, or will kids be having instruction?
We expect, being that instruction is taking place, we expect that we will have some form of vacation. We're waiting for direction from the governor's office and the Commissioner of Education's office. But I do anticipate that there will be some form of spring, Passover, Easter recess.
Great, thank you. Those are, we got one more question. If regions do not happen in June, would they take place in August or January? And that's really something we don't know the answer to.
Yeah, again, we don't know the answer, but again, historically, I think once before in our history, when Regents exams are canceled, school districts are permitted to use a local exam in lieu of Regents exams. So kids would not be required to take a summer or a January of the following year Regents. Again, that's going by past history. And again, that decision will be made by the Commissioner of Education.
There's one more question. Mr. Wozniak asked also, is there consideration if the state education department rejects what we're doing? And that's a pretty simple answer, I think.
Yeah, I don't, at this point, we actually are submitting and have submitted to the state our educational plan. Every district in the state has been required to submit their educational plan, how instruction is continuing, how we are feeding kids, and what our childcare options are. And we have approvals from the state for our educational plan.
You're welcome, Mr. Wozniak. Ira Chekla asked, why not use vacation days during the next week?
We thought about that, and our feelings are that that the vacation period has religious implications, and we would rather stick to those days being used when there are religious holidays.
Yeah. I mean, listen, from my perspective, I don't have a kid in the school, but you know, we're kind of moving along and evolving with this remote learning, and as you said, it's a work in progress, and it's getting better every day. So why not just keep the momentum going as well?
Yeah, and again, I know that some school districts, I think in Suffolk County primarily, had announced that that April vacation was last week and this week. Again, with the governor giving his order, his executive order, that really pushes everything off. And again, I fully expect that we will be closed minimally till April 20th.
All right, Denise, I think now there's thank you. Fran O'Connor said the structure is great for kids, makes each day manageable. Thank you. Again, our administration, our teachers, our faculty are really doing a great job of trying to move this along. And as we said earlier, you know, we kind of think we're ahead of the curve a little bit. I hate to use that term, obviously, that's one that's been used a lot with respect to the virus. But I think educationally, we're ahead of the curve and really trying to do our best for our kids. So Denise, with that, I think we can turn the commenting off now.
It was another thanks, though.
What's that?
It was another thank you to us.
Oh,
At least
I appreciate it. And let's move on. I guess the only thing now left is approval of schedules, correct?
Correct.
The approval of schedules A 9547 through U 317. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Do I have a second? Whoops, I just lost all of you. I just did something. Oh, give me a second. All right, good. Got you back. Okay. Any comments on any of the schedules?
No, I mean, there's one that's slightly mistyped, but it doesn't affect, let's just approve it. It won't change the meaning.
Nice, Barbara. 21 years later. Look, the times they are changing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Got a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Wait, did
Second.
somebody want to go back into exec? There was a question earlier. just before we,
I think we went over, the stuff that Jill
Okay.
had, I think, right?
I think it probably makes sense for us to ask Denise to advertise an executive session at least weekly as we go forward. Just again, updates from Chris and any legal issues that we are currently dealing with to at least stay in direct contact with the board.
exec
It's a great
sessions.
idea.
I don't think you can schedule exec sessions weekly. You can schedule,
I think, Barbara, we have them on the calendar.
well, not legitimately. I mean, you can schedule work sessions. Because you can't know that you're going to have
Well,
one of the 4 topics to discuss on those particular days.
we have meetings that are on the calendar. We will either hold them as executive session meetings, or we'll cancel them if we don't have something that's executive session. That's basically how we've run our morning meetings for the last year.
Well, sometimes they're work sessions. They're not always exec sessions. A work session is, we don't vote to go into exec every single time. I mean, you may have things to update us on that have to do with all of this that are not exec session material. So let's just call them work sessions that, we could vote to go into exec if necessary.
You have nothing on the calendar until the next board meeting. I think because of the way the vacation fell on the calendar.
Okay. Well, then we'll if need be, we will contact the board and schedule a meeting between now and then.
Okay. Or do we want to just put them on the calendar right now so that it's publicly announced? I mean, every Thursday, except if it's a holiday?
We can do that, Hank, and then we can cancel them if there's nothing to discuss.
So April 2nd would be the next.
No
Or
one's
we could just put one
traveling.
on for. We could just put one on for next Thursday and then take it from there. How's that?
Sounds good.
What time?
Okay.
What time works for everybody? Or morning, afternoon?
How's 9 a.m.? Does that work for everybody? No, Pam, it's really your call.
Well, honestly, later is better for me.
Well,
Well,
let's continue to do evenings.
No, Thursdays I always keep clear up until 11. So I can be flexible on Thursdays.
Well,
So
what do you
on this-
prefer? Because none of us have anything else going on probably.
So on the 2nd, Pam, you're good at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I could do 9. As long as I'm done by 10:45, I'm good.
Bill, that was your recommendation?
Yeah, we'll just say 9 o'clock, right?
9
That
o'clock
works.
on April
9
2nd.
o'clock is fine. Yeah, thank you for your consideration.
Always, Pam, always. Thank you. All right, so we're adjourned. For those people who were logged on as attendees, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your input, your questions. Denise, thanks for making this happen as effortlessly as it seemed.
Sure, no problem.
That was great. We got a lot of training thanks to you. Ben, I'm not sure if that's actually Ben or he's got a Ben doll sitting there because he hasn't moved.
It's me. It's me.
So we're good. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy.
You too.
We'll all be in touch. And thanks for your time tonight, Chris.
Thanks,
Great job. Appreciate it.
Now go wash your
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Stay safe.
Good night,
please.
everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Oh, quick
Bye.
question before we leave. Quick question. Oh,
Yeah.
where's Victor?
He's gone.
All right.
Now we can,
We can leave. We can leave. I'll have to message Victor because obviously after every meeting, I sign a great deal of paperwork. So I'll get in touch with Victor and figure out how
Bill,
we
I
can
mean,
coordinate that. Okay?
Bill, we can also stamp.
I know we could possibly do.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Sounds
All right.
good. Okay.
Thanks. All right.
Good night, all.
Bye, everyone.
Night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.